how do you involve your sales leaders in driving proactivity? And Jose, we'll start with you first.
Okay, so everything with us starts with a plan. So every sales leader has a blueprint, so a plan that summarizes what their objectives are for the year and how they will achieve those objectives. And every account executive that reports to the sales leaders also has a blueprint. When we launched the blueprint process, we were very clear in saying that this was not a management tool for the account executives. This was their moment to sit down and think about what it is that they wanted to drive for the upcoming year and how they were going to achieve it. And for them to really take a break from the day-to-day hectic life that they lead and to think about whether or not they have enough prospects, enough advisors, enough sources in their pipelines to achieve their goals. And so this has been revolutionary for us because while people said that they did plans, very few of them actually did them with that kind of detail. So now that plan has to live, and it's okay for the plan to evolve during the year, but the plan, in our experience, will only live if the sales leader is interested in following up on this plan. So the way the sales leaders do this is that during their one-on-ones, and for us, we think that bi-weekly one-on-ones are efficient with the sales teams, given that we are writing a new chapter. So during the one-on-ones, they go over the blueprints, the activities, where are they going, the number of calls that they have, how they're doing in the upcoming weeks, and anything that the sales leader can do to help them to get better. So that is one of the items that we do to drive and support the sales teams.
And that's, it's neat because what I hear you saying, right, there's a strategy for the year just that includes, you know, what are you going to do around proactivity, and then there's management of that to make sure that that's occurring.
That's
terrific.
Right.
Thank you. Tom, for you.
I go back to the sales management again, and that's where I always start. And so what we try to do is make sure that we get alignment and buy-in from our sales management, and because you get a lot of the nodding and then they don't really mean it. So what the technique that we use is we always create standards, and we were talking about the number of calls and the number of appointments and the amount of time that you need to spend. So understanding clear set of standards that you're going to hold your teams accountable to is critical. So what we do is engage the leadership, the management team, to develop those standards jointly. And the reason I do that is that it's really hard for them, if they participate in the creation of it, to then not engage. If they don't engage and do what they advocated is the best policy and the best practices, if they don't do it, it's really on them and they stand out. So we really try to make sure that we get an engagement at the leadership team with regards to what those core principles, core standards of behaviors are, and have those articulated and essentially codified and agreed to.
That's great. Thank you.
I would say very similar to Jose, actually, in terms of the framework around the business plan and getting that dialogue set and started. And really, when you think about it, if somebody's trying to be more successful, there's very few other ways to do it other than to be more proactive in your activities, right? So I think that really does drive through. We're clear with our sales leaders, though, really at the end of the day, you can talk about a bunch of different techniques, but there's only two ways to add value to salespeople. Either you help them spend more of their time with the right clients and prospects, or you help them be more effective when they're in front of the right clients or prospects. And there's really only those two levers. You can blow them out a bunch of different ways. And so we're clear when we're coaching our sales leaders that we're talking on those two dimensions. And one of the favorite things that I like to see our sales coaches for sales leaders do is say, tell me a little bit about the action items that you're working on with that salesperson. Because instantly you can see if they're focused on proactive activities. Instantly you can see if they're really engaged in the coaching conversation and adding value. And so I think it's the business plan up, and then it's making sure all the leaders are focused on that outcome across the organization.
Excellent. Thank you. Last question for our panel. Please share a specific example of a process you've put in place to foster more proactivity. So a process you've put in place. Tom?
I'll share two. One is, and it's in line with where you're going to go next, is really this is a team sport. And that's really about creating accountability and making people feel like they're working together. So we found if you're left to the individual, it says it happens, it shows up on the sheet, but it actually never really happens. But if you get everybody together, you create a framework where you're actually collaborative about it, the prospecting activity, the proactivity increases. The other thing I would suggest is you need to engage your entire organization in this activity, not just your salespeople. So, it can be simple things like working with marketing to generate activities that create prospecting. It's just not the cold call that's prospecting. It's events that you would have, events such as these. It's maybe doing a blog, maybe doing webinars, maybe an email communication with things that are going on in your business. These are tools that your teams can then use to initiate those conversations. So when I say it's a team game between our own sales organization and the rest of the organization.
Great to bring that broader group in.
Yeah, I'll do too as well. From a motivation perspective, a lot of focus on campaigns that are driving right at proactivity. So in our business, we run a campaign focused on net new client acquisition outside of TD. And so there's lots of things you can do to source business inside the organization, but we specifically focus the campaign on building business on your own just to get a bit of enthusiasm and excitement. The other one, I mentioned the scorecard and dashboard framework. For the coaches of sales leaders, it's very, very easy to see which advisors are ahead or behind on what metrics, and we consistently rank our sales leaders on the number of advisors that are over the hurdle. And so it just creates that, I can't rely on my best salespeople and I can't just focus on the folks at the bottom. It's how many folks can I get to be successful, which drives that proactivity in the conversations each and every month. So I'd highlight those two.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm not telling a story out of school here, but you on the, what type of clients they're bringing in, there's some compensation tied to that.
There is for sure.
Right? You said it earlier, right? Connect the compensation.
Yep.
So it's not just you should,
Yep.
It's you need to.
Yeah, measured, and we'll reward extra for those clients that are brought in.
Yeah. Great. Jose?
Yeah, so I would say that in our field, it's easy to be reactive rather than proactive because there's always activity coming in, but is it true activity? And as we were on the journey to changing the culture to becoming more proactive, we decided on doing sales offices open on Tuesdays. So every account executive in their blueprint, depending on their target market in terms of size of clients that they operate in, have either 40 calls per month, 20 calls per month, or 5 calls per month to do. And 40 was a huge number for many of them. And when you step back and think about it, it's just 2 sales calls and face-to-face, not on the phone, not by email, that is not a sales call, to do per day. So doing the sales offices open on Tuesdays from 9 to 11, what it meant is that day, across Canada, everybody was in the office doing sales calls. And at the end of the timeline, the sales leaders would send out a message to say, in our office today, we were able to secure X number of meetings. And so it created this competition between offices and regions as to how many meetings we were able to get, and people really got into it. And people started preparing those sales calls in a much more robust manner in order to secure some meetings and proudly go back to the sales leaders and to their colleagues to say, I got 5 meetings for next week. And then someone else, a colleague, might have only gotten 2. And so a conversation now starts developing between them to say, well, how did you secure 5? And can you sit with me at the next one and maybe coach me on it? So a real atmosphere of collaboration. Now, before I sound like we are so perfect that we do this every Tuesday, I will say that this is work in progress. And it is a work in progress from the sales leader's part because, again, life is busy. And you need to have a disciplined culture and atmosphere in order to have that sales offices open on Tuesdays every week. Now, I have great faith that the new Vice President of Business Development, who happens to be sitting in this room, will be much more successful than his predecessor. Hi, FJ. Will be much more successful than his predecessor. But I would encourage everybody to have that kind of culture within your own organization and to help your teams to create those kinds of sales calls.
That's great. I think, you know, terrific lead into just some of the numbers that I'll share with you here, you know, on this team sport versus individual sport. So again, in that survey before one of these events, we conduct team prospecting in our organization. 44% said yes, 55% said no. You know, I was pleased with this number, right? Almost half are doing something at a team level. But you can look at it on the other side and say half are basically saying you're a salesperson, it's up to you, right? You're a salesperson, it's up to you. And I think those organizations that are in that no, they are not hitting plan. They are not hitting plan. And I think those that are saying yes, maybe they're not hitting plan, but they will if they continue and if they press. And as Jose said, if we, you know, keep at it. We asked how frequently. And you'll see the predominant was when needed, right? So what that means is, yes, we do it when we're way behind plan and things are terrible, we all decide that we better get at this. But when you put these two numbers together, the 44% yes, and then how often, we took the monthlies, only 1 in 5 organizations, so you can look at your table, only 1 organization at your table is actually doing this consistently on a monthly basis. And what we would say, it has to be more than monthly. It has to be more than monthly. So if you ever want to see a team prospecting event every Tuesday morning from 9 to 11, every Thursday morning from 9 to 11 at the Fusion office, that's what we do. And we do lots to support and help and do it as a team and have fun and celebrate success. And it helps us to be successful, and it helps everybody to know that this is what we've got to do. This is team. This is about us. So something to think about in terms of proactivity in your organizations.